Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the next episode of the BRIO in the Box podcast. What's new? What's up? What's been happening?
I've been busy this summer.
You have been.
I've been doing lots of stuff.
You've been effective.
Yeah, I've had some alone time lately, so I've been
Sorry
trying.
about that.
I've been trying to be productive and try to do stuff instead of just doom scrolling or whatever people do when they've got a lot of time on their hands. So yeah, I tried my hand at doing some wall art in the gym. Did a little mural. It was a learning experience for sure. I feel like it took me 2 to 3 times as long as a professional, but it was like a fraction of the price. So that was good. Yeah. But it was fun. It was like a cool thing to do.
A while ago, you'd bought a projector with
Yeah.
the intention of, had the idea for a while. And now we have this big CrossFit BRIO mural thing on the wall. Because there's always, you need a spot. People come visit and they want to take a picture. You take a group photo and it's, you need the BRIO logo in the background. So how long did it take you to actually do that on the wall?
I think it was about 6 hours. So we originally talked about doing this other mural up higher, but I was like, well, that one looks pretty complicated. I'm going to start with this more basic one and do it lower down so people can have a photo place. And in doing that first one, I was like, oh, it's a good thing I didn't do that other one, because that other one would have been up like on scaffolding, which would have added an element of difficulty, but it was way more lines and different colors and stuff. And I was like, fuck, that probably would have taken me like 15 hours to do that one. But who knows, maybe I learned enough in my first one that I would be more efficient.
Nobody's good at anything the first time they try it.
That's
it
right.
did turn out well. It just took me a long time.
It turned out really good. I'm pleased with it for sure. And got a lot of good feedback on it. So yeah, it was fun.
In the last episode, we talked about all of the various things that go into being a good CrossFit affiliate, and it's not any one thing, it's a whole collection of things. And one of those we touched on is the equipment is well maintained, and those are the jobs that nobody notices, but they have to be done. And they are gross, and they take a lot of time.
Yeah, I recently took apart the rowers and cleaned out all the dust bunnies and stuff in there. And it's been like, I've never done that before, and we've had those rowers for a long time. So it was kind of one of those things where at one point, one of the rowers, something was wrong with it, and I opened it up to fix the thing. And I looked inside and was like, oh, damn, like this could use some maintenance here. So yeah, we had a few weekends where you were away, and it's not that nice out. It was Saturday, you weren't around. I was like, what else am I going to do? So the one weekend I did the mural, and then shortly after that, I opened up every rower and like massively cleaned out pounds of grossness. So it was very satisfying.
Yeah, you can't think too much, but what even is all that? Dust, hairballs, skin cells, chalk, whatever.
Yeah.
It accumulates in there and it just needs to be done. So I've been trying to make everybody appreciate like, ooh, look how clean and shiny these are now.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell because it's inside, so you would never know that it's there.
Oh, I knew. I'd been trying to pull those hairballs out of there between the mesh on it for a while, and I was like, this job needs to be done.
And it's definitely like an iceberg where you see the surface and you're like, well, that's not that much. And then you open it up and you look inside, you're like, oh, damn, the majority of the iceberg is under the water here.
Yeah,
It was gross.
Well, appreciate the time so that we can have nice things.
Yeah, I was trying to keep myself busy, and you were away. Well, what were you doing?
Yeah, where was I?
Why do you keep abandoning me here? What's going on?
Well, I have this job where
okay.
I travel, work for CrossFit. The CrossFit Games. I was in Albany, New York for a week at the start of August. Yeah, in a new role this year. So I've been away for that period of time in the summer at the CrossFit Games, several summers in a row, but always on the sport team. So always supporting the games as a judge on the floor. This year, a new role with media and brand on the CrossFit podcast.
Yeah.
So a whole new and interesting thing. The CrossFit Games were the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The 2 days ahead of time, we had an owners and coaches conference at the Marriott in Albany. So brought together subject matter experts in 3 different tracks. So business operations, coaching, and then partner activations, they call it. So all the various businesses that support CrossFit affiliates as third parties. So really cool, like a bunch of really cool people all together in the same physical location, which frankly doesn't get to happen nearly as often as it should. So with the CrossFit podcast, we took that opportunity to set up a studio. So we had a little conference room all set up, rented the AV equipment, brought in some furniture, had Maggie, who's the brand director, Jay Vera, who supported us on the AV side, and then they let me be the host of the CrossFit podcast. So
that's super cool.
It was super cool. So I got to spend my time talking to amazing people in the world of CrossFit. And we banked, I've lost count by the end, 20 some episodes of the CrossFit podcast where we got to sit down and talk with people in person, which typically the CrossFit podcast is filmed remote on StreamYard. which is great. You still get to talk to people, but that remote recording is just not quite the same as when you're together in person with someone. So yeah, I feel like what a cool opportunity. And I was just vibing with everybody. Like, how amazing is this? Just straight up selfishly, personally for me to get to sit down and have dedicated time to talk to these amazing people. And the theme was really people in the world of CrossFit that saw a problem or an opportunity and were like, I could do something about that. And they are the helpers, the people that recognize that CrossFit changed their life in some way or another and felt it as this obligation to give back and try to make this whole thing a little bit better. So all different aspects of how that works, like from the software side of things to the medical side of things and everything in between. So, and
you were doing long days. It was like back to back to back, right?
Yeah. And learned about myself, I guess, that my social batteries are high and that they were kind of checking in on me like, are you doing okay? Do you need a break? I was like, no, this is awesome. I'm like amped up and let's keep this going. So
I'm like 2 AA's and you're like a car battery.
I guess so, yeah. Who knew? But I find that stuff really energizing and invigorating. And while you have that opportunity, why not just go to town on it? So,
did you have a favorite podcast that you did, or were they all just kind of like good in their own way?
I mean, you can't make me pick a favorite.
It's kind of like asking what your favorite song is. It's like, I don't know. They're all,
I know.
Songs are great.
They're all cool. So we had, I think 14 or so episodes lined up, guests that we knew would be there and they were booked and we had done research on them ahead of time. And then because we had the studio sitting there and there was all these people present at this owners and coaches conference, we ended up pulling in some extras that were unplanned. So one morning we were supposed to start at 9 and Maggie texted me and she's like, can you be down here for 8? We're going to talk to the guys from Redemption Road, which is a whole way of putting CrossFit into the prison system in Colorado. So that conversation was amazing, really mind-blowing, and it was unplanned. So also had that element of novelty to it. So I got to sit down with 2 guys, the one that had kind of started this whole idea of doing CrossFit with the prisoners. So he was incarcerated on I think a 30-year sentence and started working out in the prison with another guy. And they would get his mom to print off workouts from CrossFit.com and give them to him. And he said she only knew how to print off the heroes section of CrossFit.com. So he's like, we did a lot of hero workouts for the first while. And then it just grew and more people started joining them to work out and really enjoying this. And then spontaneously what grows out of that is some community.
Yeah.
And then they organized a level 1 inside the prison for the inmates, which you can imagine was not an easy sell, not an easy thing to get organized. My coworker, my boss that I travel with all the time, Jason McDonald, had worked in corrections before he joined the CrossFit seminar staff. So he was actually one of the seminar staff that they sent to that first course that they did inside the prison system. And so I'd heard a little bit about this before through him telling these stories and got to sit down, with the actual guys in front of me. And then it grew from there. Now they've done level 1s and level 2s. They've done them in 6 or 8 different prisons in Colorado. And now they have all this long-term data on how much it reduces like healthcare needs of the inmates, how much it reduces like violent crime, how much it breaks down barriers between different like gang factions. You have the skinheads working out with the, Mexican people and the black people, like everybody breaks down those barriers and works out together. And they all love it enough that they're very protective of good behavior so that the program doesn't get taken away. That's awesome. Then, so where that snowballed into is this original founder of the whole program worked through Dave Castro with some lawyers to make a clemency application. And because of all the good work that he did, he was able to get clemency and got out of prison and now works as a CrossFit coach at an affiliate nearby in Colorado. And so now various affiliates around the area in Colorado hire these guys because they come out with a level 1 or level 2. And so, man, this like the rate of recidivism of the prisoners that have gone through this program because they have some community and some career opportunities when they get out. Yeah. Wild. It was just like blowing my mind. The other guy sitting with us in that episode that I can't wait for you guys to watch, it'll be amazing, had been on a life sentence from the time he was like, I think not even legally an adult, like 16 or 17.
Wow.
Was in prison for 28 years and had just gotten out 4 months before we get to sit down. And I thought that was so great. Got out of prison, and one of the first things he wanted to do was go to the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
Gino, shout out Gino.
That's hilarious.
So these guys that like make some shitty decisions when you're young and dumb and end up completely fucking up your life, you would think, but just through some fitness and some community and mental and physical health and some opportunity, like able to turn that story around.
Yeah.
So.
And it's just so wild, the impact that CrossFit can make on people's lives in all different ways. You know, it can fight off aging, and it can make people lose weight, and it can just make people better people, but then it can completely change the criminal system, you know? Yeah. It's so wild. And it's just that need to belong to something. And you can belong to a gang that brings you in and you guys do crimes together and you end up in trouble, or you can belong to a CrossFit community and you hopefully don't do any crimes and, you know, turn your life around. It's wild.
It really is. And, you know, people are like, CrossFit's a cult. They're like, fuck yeah, it's a cult, but it's a good cult.
It's like a productive cult.
It's a cult built around like exercise, taking care of yourself, looking after other people, and eating well. You're like, that sounds like a pretty good, of all the cults you're going to belong to, that's the one you should belong to. So.
I saw a new, it must be like a marketing campaign or something with CrossFit, where they said cult and then chur in brackets or whatever. I was like, oh, that's a good play on words. And because it is very much like a bit of a cult, but it's like not one of those crazy ones that you hear about on the news where people are drinking Kool-Aid and dying. It's a very productive, beneficial one, but it's more of a culture than a full-on cult. So I like that.
There was a live stream with Jen Pishko, Matt Souza, and Nicole Carroll, and they were talking about that. Is it cult or culture? And Jen had written a great article that appeared on CrossFit.com about that, about like, it's not just even community. We use that word a lot, but it's the culture of what we're about. And
because I think like real CrossFitters, they're like fully into it. You participate in the community within the gym, and that's great. But you continue to live the culture outside of the gym, where you're eating well and you're being active and you're showing your kids to do the same, and you know, just being a productive person in general. So it's definitely more of just the like gym thing.
And I did get to sit down with Ricardinho, who owns Punk CrossFit in Brazil, and Matteo, who's a flow master on staff in Italy. And so you really see how this culture of CrossFit is cross-culture around the world. And so it doesn't really matter what language we speak or what particular, you know, society or norms that you're in. This is a universal language of challenge, of belonging, of functional movements, of good nutrition. It's like basic human physiology, and that transcends like race and language and anything else. So that was pretty cool to get to see the global perspective. And then, you know, you've been at the CrossFit Games many times. It exists as this little microcosm that pops up for a few days of what the world could be like if everyone was part of that culture, where being fit is the norm, where eating healthy is the norm, where being friendly and, you know, good people together is the norm. Greg Glassman, the founder of CrossFit, used to say when they would have the CrossFit Games in California that they never once had an incident of somebody stealing a wallet at the CrossFit Games, even though thousands of people are together. They never had like fights. They could even serve quite a high amount of alcohol to the crowd, and they just never had those problems that would otherwise pop up if it was like soccer fans or football fans or other situations, that there's something different about the character of CrossFitters. So this year was particularly good. The vibes were high. People were like, how was the CrossFit Games? I'm like, fucking 11 out of 10 this year. And I don't know why people kept being like, what is the source of all these good vibes right now? Where is this coming from? And it was hard to put your finger on any one particular aspect. It's just, I don't know, the people that were in CrossFit with the wrong mindset have hopefully been filtered out. The taking mindset is the closest thing I can put that into words, where you had athletes in the sport previously that were just there to take, to have a career, to take fame, to take followers, to take money, but they weren't like, they're not coaching in an affiliate. They don't own affiliates. They're not giving back in any way whatsoever. They don't have their level one. I don't even think they fully understand what CrossFit is. They were just there to take something. And those athletes, frankly, are gone and retired. I'm not going to name names, but you could probably figure out who I mean by that. And then the people that were at the CrossFit Games this year, and frankly, in all transparency, coming off of last year with Lazar's death and the tragedy involved in that, you know, people were understandably had a lot of feelings about that, a lot of grief, a lot of anger directed towards CrossFit and towards the situation. And so those people with those strong feelings were probably just not at the games this year, understandably so, and not holding that against anybody that feels that way. But the people that were there were the people that really fucking love CrossFit and wanted to be there despite what we've been through. Not, you know, in opposition to it, but sticking with it through the ups and the downs, the good and the bad, as you do in any relationship, family thing that you love. You know, it comes with tough times and good times.
It's not all rainbows and lollipops.
Yeah.
You have to have some struggle once in a while, and that helps you remember that it's important. Yeah. You know? And someone described the vibe as like 2014-15. The people at the games this year are like the new early adopters. So if you were there, it's because you fucking love it. Yeah. And the staff side of things, it feels like the right people are in the right seats now. There's been some, changes at HQ and various positions, and particularly Jenna Hauka, she's our new chief marketing officer. She had just come on about a year ago. So if people are seeing all these cool things that are happening out there in the media marketing, the vibes are high there too. CrossFit's got some messaging that people are really like, hell yes, let's say it. Like, let's stop using soft language and nerfing the corners. Like, CrossFit is for anyone, but it's not for everyone. It's fucking hard work. Yeah. And it drives results because it's hard. And that's what we do. We lean into doing hard things, and we don't move the goalposts on that. Whoever you are, whatever your situation, you're welcome, but we're going to ask you to work hard. Yeah. So you also did a presentation at the, what is it called? The affiliate
Owners and Coaches Conference. I believe I'm wearing the shirt.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yes.
That went pretty well. Thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was one of the presenters there to talk about, I think officially it was making nutrition part of every athlete's journey. Mm-hmm. So that would be my mission, is to encourage other affiliate owners to browbeat their members about nutrition, as I do on the regular. It doesn't mean you're going to have success and everyone in our affiliate eats properly. Absolutely not. But at the very least, you have heard it a million times. In the same way that we're relentless about coaching, that I'm going to tell you to push your knees out when you squat and lift your chest up when you deadlift. Does every athlete move perfectly all the time? No, but we're going to be relentless in the coaching and the reminding people of that. Right. You cannot exercise and eat whatever you want. That's not how this works. And I'm not going to, again, nerf the corners or soften the language around that. If you want what you say you want out of the CrossFit program, which almost anybody that belongs to BRIO says, I want health, I want to feel mentally well, I want to be a better version of me, I want to show up better for my family or my job, I want to live well for longer, I want to have independence, cool. You're going to have to eat properly. Yeah. You're going to have to quit your bullshit and stop eating ultra-processed foods and treating your body like a dumpster. Yeah. That's just how it is.
That's how it is.
That's how it is.
I do hope that they post the presentations, because as a bit of a humble brag, many people said that yours was like the standout presentation. So and I'm sure the rest of the community want to see it. Hopefully they will do it.
Yes. Hopefully they make it publicly available. I talked about several of our members, and many of the photos of you guys made it into the presentation.
Really? So, I didn't know that.
Pictures of people in their 1,500 and 2,000 WOD Club shirts. And
not the thruster face.
Well, some of those actually No, I save those in a private folder. Yeah. The photos where you guys look dumb, those don't see the light of day. I've posted the photos where you look cool and you look like a badass doing hard things.
I mean, it's not even that you look dumb. You just look like you're trying really hard, and it's your
sometimes
pseudo pain face,
pictures where people look dumb. Oh, okay. I don't post those ones.
Yeah.
We're on the same side. I'm trying to make you look cool.
Totally.
Try hard photos I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Photos where you're like, that's not a flattering
photo. Got one eye open. Yeah. It looks like you just sneezed or something.
Exactly.
Those are not the best ones.
Stay in a different folder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to talk about nutrition and all the various aspects, and had been locked in a little conference room talking to people nonstop for hours and hours on end at that point. And my level of fucks given was probably quite low at that point. And I was just up there being myself and, not trying to be too presentational. And some of the feedback I got from another one of the affiliate reps was like, they thought your presentation was the best. And these people said, she's just like a real person. Yeah. And I was like, I am a real person. That's what I was doing up there. And the thing that ended up emerging out of it that sort of became the notorious quote of the weekend is someone at the end in the Q&A was asking me about, well, what about, these athletes that are like, well, but carbs increase performance and sugar makes me go faster. And what came out of my mouth was, I'm pretty sure a bump of cocaine would make you PR your Fran time. That doesn't make it a good idea. And everyone burst out laughing. And I was like, I can't believe I just said that out loud. And my the head of seminar staff, Joe Alexander, is sitting directly across from me, and this thing is on video and I'm being taped and I'm mic'd up. I was like, I can't believe I just said that.
That's awesome.
But then it ended up being the piece that people gravitated and came up to talk to me about after more than anything else that I said. And I was like, I guess there is that craving for people to just say it, be blunt, hold the line in what we're about, just because something increases performance doesn't make it a good idea. So gummy bears and PEDs and steroids and stimulants and whatever.
Yeah.
It's not what we're about. That's not what we're about. We don't want that performance at that cost. We're about health, and we're about achieving it the right way that supports it for the long term.
Yeah.
And all that other bullshit can just fall to the wayside.
And that's such a big problem with communicating with people. If you're coming from a competitive world, you're talking about a different goal. We're talking about health. We're not talking about performance. So CrossFit Games people, like, you're on your own thing. We're not talking about the same thing.
And like, how much performance do we want? Only as much as supports health for the long term.
Yeah.
And if there's excess performance to be gained now, but it comes via injecting steroids or taking stimulants or using sugar to increase performance, so therefore it comes at the cost of long-term health, you don't want that performance. That's not worth it now for the detriment later. We want performance now and performance later, and capability later, and functionality later. Yeah. So that, if you know that and you're firm in your convictions on that, then it really allows you to separate, is this a good idea or not, pretty easily. Yeah. You're like, is wearing this belt that allows me to lift heavier but not work on my technique a good idea? Probably not.
Yeah.
Is eating these gummy bears to go faster in the open a good idea? Probably not. Is wearing these big, dumb, cushy shoes so that you can run further a good idea? Probably not. Like, all those things, it just makes it pretty easy. Would it make you go faster now? Probably, but who cares?
Yeah.
Because your eyes on the prize with your convictions on the long term on the horizon. So,
and I think people are welcome to do whatever they want with their lives. Have at it, but let's just not kid ourselves that this is like a longevity building thing. This is a performance-based little boost that I might pay for later down the road.
Yeah, exactly. It's like buying things on credit versus building wealth.
For sure.
If we want to use our financial analogies all the time. So, yeah. And I think like somebody just needs to say those things. We kind of know, but every so often you need someone to just shake you back into reality. Be like, come on, like, you know what you want here and you know what this is about. And let's not make stupid decisions that aren't in line with what you want, with what you say you want. And where the reason some of our members were in the presentation was when we gave out our 1,000 WOD Club shirts in the Google Doc that we had people fill out to give us their shirt size. We also asked them a question, which was, why do you do CrossFit? And we went over that in a previous episode. And 100% of the answers that people gave were something around health.
Right.
Not a single person said, so that I can make the top 10% in the open, or so that I can qualify for the CrossFit Games, or so that I can go to this competition. 0 responses had anything to do with competitive excellence, as in externalizing your success on a leaderboard. People might participate in those things and they're fun, but that's not why.
Yeah.
That's not why we do CrossFit. And so if the why we're here is health and longevity and optimal functioning and, you know, being the best version of yourself for the people and things that matter to you, then it's very clear in the choices we make.
If you want health, you have to avoid sugar and cocaine.
That's probably true, yes. And, you know, we can make things so complicated, and nutritionists in the world of nutrition are a massive part of the problem and making things seem too complex. It's really not. You need to quit the bullshit. You need to stop eating this ultra-processed food junk, stop treating your body like a dumpster, and just eat real food. Eat meats and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no sugar.
Yeah.
And you need to keep intake to levels that support exercise but not body fat.
Yeah. And we've really been dialing that in lately.
Yeah.
We've been on a really good run. I'm not really sure what the catalyst was to start the journey, but at some point at the beginning of the summer, I was like, I need to get my shit together again. I'm going to go no alcohol in July. And then I think Atlas wanted to gain some weight. And so you guys were talking about maybe doing some weighing and measuring. Yeah. And I was like, all right, fuck it. Let's do this too. And I've always hated that shit. I always found it so cumbersome and frustrating and annoying. And I never stuck with it for more than a few days. But I was like, okay, I'm just going to jump in with 2 feet. I'm going to go full send. And I did. And it's actually been going great. So I'm eating crow right now, but it has been going really well.
Yeah, so we're talking about tracking your food in an app, weighing and measuring your food, tracking your macros. And it's funny, I've been telling people about this, like I'm back on weighing and measuring and being really precise with tracking. And it was Atlas that was the motivation to do that. He was like, I think I want to track my food. And from a very healthy mindset perspective, where he was like, I think I'm not eating enough. Yeah. So he's training like a maniac with gymnastics, and he's 15 now, and he wants to get strong. So he wants to maximize the benefit of all the training he's doing. So he's like, I think I'm not eating enough and I want to track. So I was like, okay, awesome. I've tracked on and off at different times, and even as different assignments. When I was doing my master's, there was times where we would weigh and measure, but I like to use Chronometer. So I had a Chronometer account set up. I have lots of my recipes already in there. So added Atlas to Chronometer and was teaching him about how to use a food scale and how to log things and what that looks like. And then I was like, well, if he's doing it, I better be back on this too. And then you were like, okay, fine. Fine. You're like, I'll do it too. And all of us having a good experience. Atlas is eating more and especially trying to hit protein targets and eating more before training and just paying attention.
Yeah.
So, but in previous times, I remember you participating when we previously had a dietitian as part of the team and you participating in a macro counting challenge and you were just mad about it the whole time. You were not in a good place. What do you think is the difference between why it was such a negative experience back then and why you actually quite enjoy it now?
So I think the big problem was I had targets to start and I just found it so infuriating because I wasn't a good planner when it came to my food. And so I would get to the end of the day and be like, well, shit, I need, 30 grams of fat and no grams of carbs and 100 grams of protein. I'm like, what do I do here? What am I supposed to eat? And all these weird random numbers. Whereas this time, initially, I had no targets. It was just, what am I actually eating? And so for the first couple of weeks, I just logged everything. And it was a huge eye-opener. I realized how much my snacking adds to my overall food consumption. I would just randomly grab like a handful of macadamia nuts and cut myself some cheese and think nothing of it. I'd be like, oh yeah, it's just like a little snack. And then when I actually weighed that out, I'd be like, oh my God, this is like 1,000 calories worth of cheese and nuts right now. This is a whole bunch. This is a lot. And just paying attention to what I was actually doing was interesting. And I've had those realizations before with things like peanut butter, but I didn't realize like sour cream and cheese and all the different stuff, how much rice I would eat with my taco bowls. Like it was crazy how much higher it was than I was expecting. My protein was pretty much where I expected it to be, but my carbs and fat were very different. So I started with just awareness. And then I was like, okay, now I'm a little bit more aware. I'm going to have some actual targets that I'm going to try to hit. And it was helpful to make sure in like less snacking to actually eat enough food because I tend to get really into it and then I start losing weight and I start leaning out, which is great. That's what I wanted. But then it starts to fall too far down. And I'm like, I was like 170 whatever pounds the other day. I'm like, fuck, that's way too late. I'm like going too much. And so now I can start to titrate up and add more food in and try to find the like equilibrium I need to not get too skinny.
I cannot emphasize this enough. The tracking your food, the primary benefit is awareness.
Yeah.
The number of people that are living in a psychological delulu land of complete lack of awareness of what they're eating and how much is way too high. And that you don't need to pay some nutritionist a ton of money to tell you some arbitrary macronutrient target that you're supposed to hit. You literally just need to live in reality and be super honest with yourself about every morsel of food, every lick of a spoon, every lemon drop candy that crosses your mouth, that goes into your body, and start there. And literally just the practice of awareness will start to modify behavior.
Yeah.
That's well known in the literature. In fact, it's that old study where they were trying to measure employee productivity in a factory based on how bright the lights were. And they thought every time they lowered the lights that people would be less productive, but people were aware that they were being studied. And so every time they lowered the lights, they worked harder.
Right.
So you got this opposite effect of just literally the awareness that you're paying attention changes behavior. So literally I would highly recommend anybody go through this practice and not eyeballing, not guessing. I think that's about 6, like literally put it on a food scale. You can eat whatever you want.
Yeah.
You just have to weigh it first.
And I think there's something about knowing that you have to actually weigh and put some work in that will reduce the amount of just random snacking because you're like, I don't want to weigh that. I'm not going to bother.
Yeah, it's like a pain in the ass.
But then the other thing too is you really have to make your own food because you cannot look at a website. You can't go to a restaurant and look at a website and be like, well, it says it's 1,300 calories for this meal. Like it might be, but it might be 1,100. It might be 1,500. There's going to be a lot of variance when they just randomly do it versus when you weigh and measure.
Yeah.
And then same thing, like if you go to Subway, it's who knows how much of everything he's actually putting on there. You can guess, but it's not going to be close. So it forced me to, not that I was eating out very often, but it definitely forced me to kind of refine what I was eating, to put the work in, to put a recipe in there so that I could like weigh my recipe and know if I eat it in the next few days, like how much I'm actually getting. And I just try to be as diligent as I could. If I didn't have any alcohol for July, but in August when I did, I put some in and it was crazy. I can't believe how much beer adds. It was such a discouraging thing because I had 4 beers and I like IPAs, so they're definitely more intense than a regular like light beer. But it was like 1,000 calories worth of beer just sitting there like camping one day. And I was like, yeah, it adds up. And you, it's funny because your brain will be like, well, we could just leave this part out, but that ruins the whole thing.
You're just lying to yourself.
Yeah.
God, grow up.
So the kids wanted to have s'mores, and I don't like s'mores, so I didn't have any, but I did have some bites of chocolate and I put that in there, and your carbs just like skyrocket and you're like, ah, shit. But then there's something about being able to say, okay, well, yesterday was definitely not my best work. And so tomorrow I'm going to be a little bit more diligent and I'm going to try to balance things out. And if you stop worrying so much about every day has to be exactly this and look at your weekly trends, I think that's just a much more manageable approach.
And again, it's just that live in reality, be honest with yourself. And I don't try to hit any particular macronutrient target at all, but I know what eating habits make me feel my best. And I know when I'm back on my bullshit, not eating that way, that the results become obvious. I sleep worse. I gain a few pounds I don't like. Just my skin feels different. Like I know what happens. And so it's not even the macronutrients. It's like you're tracking your food.
Yeah.
And then you can start to play with things where I was like, what happens if I eat arugula every day for a week? And then I observe the results. What happens if I add half an ounce of liver every week? What happens if I eat oats instead of rice, or I eat rice instead, or what happens if I eat no plants at all? And just, you start to conduct these N of 1 experiments. But before you get to any of that, the primary thing is that you need to be the kind of person that can be honest with yourself and live in reality. And then even when, like, I'm away from home much more than you are, it becomes being about the kind of person that tracks your food, not that it needs to be super precise. So yeah, when we travel and teach seminars, we hit up Chipotle quite a bit because it's like the closest thing to meats and vegetables you can find in like a quick and easy fashion. So I can go on Chipotle. In fact, it's in Chronometer. 1 portion of Chipotle pork carnitas, and you can enter it in. 1 portion of guacamole and enter it in. 1 fajita vegetables, enter it in. But that guy in that line at Chipotle is not weighing and measuring. He's just, whoop. Yeah. So you're like, I'm doing the best that I can and being as honest with myself as I can. And is it precise? Does it maybe vary by up to 25%? Yes. But the point is that I'm being as honest with myself as I can. Yeah. And there is never a time where the problem is you're not eating enough. Like, just frankly, come join me in reality over here. If somebody is 50, 80, 100 pounds overweight, the problem is literally never that they're not eating enough.
They're probably not eating enough good food and they're eating way too much terrible food.
And way more things are making their way in that they're unaware of.
Yeah.
And I have known dietitians that are like, oh yeah, we know that. But we just go along with their pleasant little lie and tell them, yeah, the problem is you're not eating enough. Yeah, for sure. And then you get them to eat meats and vegetables and nuts and seeds and things that have a lot of volume and are much more satiating. And they're like, oh, I feel like I'm eating so much. And they're eating meals on purpose and not, snacking and grabbing and drinking all of their calories throughout the day. So it gives them this illusion of eating more food when literally they're not. And I just think that's the frickin' worst. Who wants to pay a professional that will lie to them?
Yeah.
And they'll openly talk about it behind their client's back to be like, oh yeah, we just lie to them. I'm like, that to me is the worst. That no one should want to work with a professional like that. I couldn't morally do that and work with someone and just be like, oh yeah, I'm just going along with their lies.
But I think it just stems from those people are so deluded that whatever they've convinced themselves, they're not eating enough. Like, they're cray-cray. And if you have to sort of like meet them here with their level of cray-cray and then slowly bring up to normal human conversations, I mean, I get why you would maybe start that way. A lot of people have a hard time swallowing the pill. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to me. You're lying to yourself. Yeah. And that's a tough pill for most people to admit to and to swallow. So I think it's such a mental game that people play with themselves. And it's unfortunate because that's what's limiting them from making any kind of changes. I have the opposite problem where I'm probably one of the few that my problem is I'm just not eating enough because, again, I tend to lose weight too quickly and I start to drop down lower than I want to be. And I've sort of realized now at my current age, I feel the best around 175 to maybe 178, something like that. but my body will naturally drop down below that. And then all of a sudden I start getting like, fuck, like I'm not feeling as good as I was. I need to make sure I'm eating more food. And so in previous years, when I'm just sort of freestyling it, I'll be like, okay, eat more. And then I'm just like clobbering more food down, not paying attention to how much. And then I start to gain more weight than I want to. And it's just this up and down. So I've really gotten into a good flow with the weighing and measuring, and I actually enjoy it now. And I feel like I can just make these small jumps as needed to try to find the equilibrium, and I just feel good. Yeah. You know, I feel like I'm super lean right now. I'm feeling great. My knees have been feeling better. I just all around have been sleeping well. Everything's just going great. Yeah. So it's definitely worth the investment. And I'll be the first to admit it sucks at first. It's time consuming. It's annoying. It takes some effort to get all your little systems set up and get all your recipes in. But if you can get through that first 2 weeks, it's worth it.
And doesn't that just describe CrossFit?
Yeah, absolutely.
It sucks and it's annoying and it's really hard and it takes a lot of organizing to get your system set up. But the results are worth it. And it ends up being fun and interesting in the end, and the benefits that you get. Yeah. And like, you just had a birthday. How old are you now?
I'm 47.
So I would say, based on results, it's working. You look fucking great for 47.
Thank you. I feel like the older you get, the more effort it takes to not let aging take over. You know, when you're 20s and 30s, you got all the time in the world. You can get away with way more bullshit. You can kid yourself, but eventually it's going to catch up with you. And when you're building those bad habits early on, they're going to stay with you unless you make a significant change. So the best time to do it is when you're young, but the second best time is right now. So anybody that knows that knows they need to make a change, like, just do it. It's so worth it. Yeah. And I think, like we said, all of the people that are in our community and the majority of the people that are part of the bigger, broader CrossFit world would say their goal is health. It's longevity. It's feeling good now. It's, there's no shame in saying you want to look good now too. And that if you do that the right way, you get to experience all this awesomeness in the middle years of your life, and you get to be a radically cool, older, aging person. Yeah. There's all these things that people, I think, are just the norm. Oh, getting older and getting fatter is the norm, and bad joints and achy knees is the norm, and this is just part of aging, and that just feeling worse as you get older is the norm. It's not. It is the norm now, but it doesn't have to be that way. If we follow the norm, the regular food system, the regular social activities, the regular ways that people spend their time, which is just laying and sitting and scrolling and all that kind of stuff, that you will default into gaining weight and feeling worse and aging like shit. There was this great live stream on CrossFit's YouTube channel with Nicole Carroll. I just love her to death. I would follow that woman through the fiery pits of hell. And she's like, you know what CrossFit is? She's like, CrossFit is a big, fat, fucking opt-out button. And I was like, if that isn't the best way to describe it, is I opt out. I opt out of all of that. I opt out of the healthcare system as much as I possibly can. I opt out of chronic disease. I opt out of feeling like shit as I get older. I opt out of gaining weight as I get older. I just opt out of all of it. And I opt out of it with constantly varied functional movements at my relatively high intensity, 3 to 5 days a week in a community of cool people. And I eat real food. Yeah. And I try to avoid alcohol as much as I can. And I go to bed and try to get enough sleep. Yeah. And it's pretty simple, not easy, certainly not easy. Yeah. It's a pretty simple formula. It's a simple formula. It's hard for sure. And that's the whole thing, is that big pharma and the processed food industry are using easy mode as their sales strategy. It's convenient and it's ready to go, and all you have to do is take this pill, and it's look, this meal's already prepped for you, and it's like, all that shit's bullshit. Opt out of all of that.
Yeah, and if you choose to engage in alcohol all the time and feeding your body like it's a dumpster and snacking and whatever, alcohol and not sleeping and waking up too early and blah, blah, blah. It's like you're opting into the default, which is aging like shit and chronic disease and feeling like garbage. Whereas, hey, let's just like eyes open, full awareness of what's going on in the world, and take back the reins. Take back the reins on your health. You do have personal choice, maybe way more than you realize. You can influence the trajectory of your life and your health way more than you realize. And you don't need to externalize that. It's not your hormones. It's not your genetics. It's not all of these other external factors that people like to blame. It's, you can think your situation is the result of your choices, and that can bum you out. Yep. Or you can feel fucking empowered by that and be like, hey, I have control here. I have agency here, and I can make decisions that'll influence my quality of life as much as I possibly can.
For sure. I was listening to a podcast recently, and at the very end of the podcast, the guest whose name escapes me right now, he said, we try to win the game so we can be free of it, which is such a great message. And I started thinking about that a lot. And I was like, that applies to so many things, you know? At the most basic level, you buy a video game and you get hooked on it and you grind and you grind and you grind and you play this video game. And then one day you beat it and you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to play that game anymore. Now you're free of it. So all that time you've earned back, you don't have to worry about wasting your time playing the video game. But then that's not the only thing, right? We all have choices. We all get to decide what kind of games we're going to play with our life. You can play the game of going to university. You get to play the game of dating and whether you're going to get married. You get to play the game of what kind of job you're going to pursue. You get to play the game of whether you're going to have kids or not. They're all just games. And you basically get to choose whether you participate in those games or not. The only game you don't get to choose that we all have to play is the game of health. You either take care of yourself and you win the game and you feel good and you do well, or you don't pay any attention and you lose the game that you don't even realize you're playing. But no matter what, you're playing the game. The goal is to win the game so that you don't have to worry about it. If you just do all the things to take care of yourself, you don't have to worry about your health because you're taking care of it. I would hate to spend decades in a hospital having doctors like fawning over me, giving me all the drugs, like helping me out of bed because I just didn't participate in the game of taking care of my health.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's the one that you don't get to choose whether you play.
Yeah.
It's human physiology. We're all riding around in this watery bag of meat.
This watery meat bag.
This meat-based mech suit that we're all riding around this crazy game of life here in. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to live in the result of your choices in the future, regardless of whether you like that idea or not. So, yeah. And I feel strongly about free choice and free will and bodily autonomy, and that no one's obligated to pursue health.
No.
Like, you get the choice of how you want to spend your time on this earth. Why are we here? Who knows? What happens after? Nobody knows. Probably nothing. May as well do whatever you want with this time. And some people are live fast, die young. I just call that the Chris Farley mode. And that's fine. Like, that, I'm not here to change anybody's mind. But what does drive me nuts is when people would say that their goal is like, yeah, I want to be healthier, I want to live well, and then their actions are in opposition to that. And you're like, okay, well, just live authentically then.
Sure.
Choose what you're going to choose, own the results, own the consequences of that, and that's fine. But let's not live in some Delulu land of, well, I want this, but on the daily, I do something else.
Yeah, so then it's just a dream. It's just like a wish.
You can't say that you prioritize health if alcohol is a frequent thing, or if 5 to 6 hours of sleep is a frequent thing, or if eating ultra-processed bullshit is a frequent thing, or not working out, or not going outside, or getting 4,000 steps a day. It's like, then you clearly don't prioritize your health, or you would make different choices.
Yeah, live the life you want to live, but just be real with your choices that you're making.
Yeah, and then what are we? We're the community for the people that are the willing, the people that want that thing and are willing to do the actions necessary. And we'll make you live in reality with us and hold you accountable to that. And, you know, you can't be like, oh, well, I tried CrossFit for a while and it didn't really work for me. It's like, but the data shows you showed up 3 times in 6 months. So you didn't really do, you know, like that.
Continue to eat your KFC for lunch and etc.
KFC. So I do think I would encourage anybody again to engage in weighing and measuring, being precise, bringing precision and accuracy to the nutrition side of the equation. It really is the biggest lever that's going to make the biggest difference to the future of your health and longevity. And not just the future. Maybe we get too hung up on like being a cool old person 50 years from now. It's not just that. It's being a cool right now person.
Yeah.
It's being a fit, capable, good looking with your shirt off person right now. Like, that's the cool thing, is that you get to have both. This isn't an either or situation. Yeah. This is
it's not like you just do some work now and it pays off in 40 years. It's like, it'll pay off this whole time.
Yeah.
I feel great right now. This is awesome.
I'm about to turn 42 right away here. And I'm just like, every year that I get older, CrossFit makes aging a treat. It makes it a pleasure. I'm so grateful that I found CrossFit when I was 24, and just how fun and challenging CrossFit was. It sort of tricked me almost into doing the work I needed to do to set myself up for good health and how I feel right now in my 40s. I couldn't say honestly that I planned that far ahead, but I did functional movements. I took care of my body. I prioritized mobility. I always slept well. I've been feeding myself well, which was just all stuff that I learned in CrossFit. And it was habits that were supported and reinforced in a community of like-minded people. And I was challenged by people that were doing it better than me to raise my bar. And all those things, I'm like, holy shit, like I feel great. You know, when you see peers or people my age that are just like full of achy joints and weight gain and hormone problems and mental problems and all these things. And I just feel like the bullets in the Matrix just whizzing by me. And every year I cruise on and I'm like, I said to someone the other day, I was like, at 42, I feel as good as I did at 32. And then I was like, wait, at 32, I was really pregnant. I felt awful. I feel better now at 42 than I felt at 32. Yeah. So at every stage of life of the challenge that has presented itself, it's like, oh, you can be fit in your 20s. And people are like, just wait until you have some kids. And it's like, I had some kids and I was like, oh, still fine. Like, just wait until you hit your 40s. And you're like, okay, like a couple years there, still feel good. And, you know, I guess there's all these challenges and we'll see what's to come. People are like, you wait till you hit menopause. Okay, I'll wait and I'll see. And maybe I'll eat my words. And maybe there'll be some challenge that blindsides me that I didn't know about, or my 60s or my 70s, or who knows what's in the future. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure that if I just continue to do CrossFit and eat real food and go to sleep, that I'm going to set myself up for the best possible version of those stages of life. That's
the important thing, is that no matter what, things are going to happen. No matter what, we're all going to get older. Yeah. But what are you doing to make it the best possible outcome? Mm-hmm. That all happens now, not when it first hits you in the face. Mm-hmm. I am probably one of the only people in the world that says this, but I'm looking forward to 50. Mm-hmm. I just turned 47. And I feel like when I turn 50, I'm hopefully, and I might eat my words, I'm hopefully not going to be too much different than I am right now, because that's only 3 years away. And I feel like if I can still look and feel like I do now at 50, and I tell people that I'm 50, they'll be like, are you fucking kidding me? What?
It's a flex.
I want to be that person that is 50 and still killing it, you know? Yeah. And even though that's a bit of a humble brag, or just a full brag. Maybe it's not even humble at all. But it's the same as
doing humility here.
It's like when you climb Mount Everest, right? Yeah. You climb Mount Everest for the experience, so you feel good about it, but then also so you can tell people you climbed Everest, right? Mm-hmm. And feel good about that and be proud of yourself for accomplishing something that most people don't do. Mm-hmm. And so if I can feel this way at 50, like most people at 50 don't. So you're killing it, right? You're doing great. But then it doesn't stop there. It's like, okay, well now the goal is when I hit 60, I want to feel great. And if you can just keep riding that goal, you celebrate those little victories along the way, be like, fuck yeah, I put all this work in, I trained for it, I did the thing, look where I ended up, you know? I think that's awesome.
And it is like, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe the problem with science and the data and what's going on in the scientific literature, and I posted some stuff recently about absolute lack of integrity in published, supposedly peer-reviewed research and blah, blah, blah. And it makes you feel a little disillusioned by it. But then also, none of that fucking matters. What matters is the evidence of your eyes and ears right in front of you, of yourself, of the people you're surrounded by. And, you know, in the CrossFit affiliate, we're doing the ultimate long-term trial. This is 17, 18 years in the making of, does this work? Does it do the things that we guessed that it would? CrossFit's only been around for like 20, maybe 25 years at the earliest. And it was all hypothetical that this would work into the future at the time in like 2000. It's no longer hypothetical. Now we have people that have been doing CrossFit for 20 years that started in their 20s or 30s and are now in their 40s and 50s. And like, it's fucking working.
Yeah.
It's working maybe better even than predicted, that it's providing the best hedge against chronic disease, the best outcomes in terms of aging as gracefully as possible and preserving long health span, not lifespan, for as long as possible. So there's that. Yeah. You want to see the long-term results. And then maybe you say, it's a little bit of like, I told you so. I thought it would work, and it does. And I don't know that that's the best motivation for wanting to see long-term results, but it is a little bit of the, we thought it would work, and it did.
Yeah.
And so I look forward to continuing to collect the data to take things from hypothesis to reality.
Absolutely. And that's it. It's not just the workouts, it's the whole CrossFit puzzle. We have to have the base of nutrition. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to eat real food. You can't just weigh and measure your garbage and call her good to go. The base of the pyramid is the most important part. You have to do it. You just have to eat well. No excuses.
Can I tell you a story? So I filmed a little Because of CrossFit I Can video with our 4:30, 5:30 class the other day. And someone that I asked them, I was like, okay, fill in the blank. And they're like, because of CrossFit, I can eat whatever I want. And I was like, no. I was like, I'm not putting that in the video. You know that's not true. I was like, retake. I was like, you get that bullshit mentality out of your head right now. That is not how this works. You do not get to work out and think that that justifies you eating like an asshole the rest of the time. And that's exactly what I mean about I will make you live in reality with me and not let you get away with those mindset things. Take that and get that out of your head right now. It's not how that works.
Stick in the ground.
Yes, we're holding the line, taking the reins back. And that's just like I feel that way. Maybe I'm just getting to an age where I have a low level of fucks to give anymore. Maybe it's the role I'm in with CrossFit and the place I would like to see the methodology and the owners and coaches and everybody get to or get back to or take the reins back on like what we know to be true and hold the line and not let there be any drift or wishy-washiness or bullshit like infiltrate our amazing methodology that we have.
There's a gentleman that stands in front of a hospital with a very weird sign that I'm not even going to mention, but everybody else that goes down to that hospital knows what I'm talking about. Maybe you can be that crazy old lady that's standing there with a sign that says, eat your meat with your elder years. That can be your thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I look forward to, being an even crazier old lady in the decades ahead.
Somebody's got to say it.
Yes. And honestly, and you know what? Maybe I come across as unhinged sometimes, but it's from a place of love.
Yeah.
It's the most loving, unhinged rants about nutrition is because I just know how this works now. And I just know that if you let yourself think that, it's not going to work out well for you. And, I want to see people have the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's the ultimate gift to yourself. And then the ultimate gift to the world is to be in service of other people, is to show up as the best version of yourself.
And being the best version of yourself requires doing hard things.
For sure.
That's just all there is to it.
Yeah.
You just have to be willing to do hard things.
CrossFit is hard. I know. Showing up 5 days a week is hard. I know. Eating real food is hard. I know. But that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you get out of it. It doesn't mean you don't have to do it. It's just what you do.
Yep.
And doing hard things is easier with other people.
Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of the CrossFit affiliate and the community is it makes it easier to do the things that are necessary.
Yep.
Okay.
Call her there. That was great.
Well, that's my unhinged rant for today.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
See you guys.
All right. I'll see you in the next one.